Good afternoon. Just 6 weeks to the European Championships. England continues in Hungary. Yes, those European Championships in West Germany in June draw ever closer, and Bobby Robson now has effectively 4 more matches in which to complete his preparations. Well, the first of them is this afternoon against Hungary in Budapest. No time to waste because it's a 4 o'clock kickoff. Our commentary team at the NEP Stadium is summariser, the former England manager Ron Greenwood, Mike Ingham, and first, it's a very good afternoon to Brian Butler.
Good afternoon and welcome to the NEP Stadium on an early evening of brilliant sunshine. The game just a minute underway, a game, as you say, that's an important part of England's preparation for the European finals. The ball away to the half, away to our left. That's the half being defended by England at the moment. Hungary already showing good form there. Shosh comes in, turns the ball back in. There's a miscue there by Leos Ditari, one of the many talented men in the Hungarian midfield. And it's the first touch there for Chris Woods, a long way to our left. Chris Woods of Glasgow Rangers, a man who's never ever been on the losing side for England. The NEP Stadium, one of Europe's finest grounds. It's a great open place with steep sides and floodlights that lean forward really like craning necks. But despite the weather and a ground that holds 80,000, it's less than a third full. Even though there was double value today, an Olympic qualifying tie between Hungary and France, which was drawn 2-2. Now Hungary in their famous cherry red shirts, white shorts, green stockings, defending the goal away to our right. England have a little free kick, take it quickly. They win possession, they play it away. Ditari, long ball forward, now being chased by Windsor, one of the 2 strikers for Hungary. The 2 strikers for Hungary, both coming, in fact, from the same club, Tatabánya, who are currently second in the Hungarian league, Caprice and Windsor, and they're getting a lot of goals between them. The 2 men that might just cause a problem or two to the English defence, one of the most inexperienced defences, of course, that England have ever put out, and it's Hungary again putting things together. Garaba midway inside the English half, and again it's an early touch for Tony Adams of Arsenal, who lays the ball back to Chris Woods. At the heart of that English defence, of course, alongside Tony Adams is Gary Pallister of Middlesbrough, 22 years old, winning his first cap, a big boy, 6 feet 4 inches tall, a man who's never played first division football, a man whose only experience of foreign opposition is a friendly against the Seattle Sounders of America. And yet here he is winning his first cap in the famous NEP Stadium here in Budapest. The ball with Hungary, far side of the field. Kozma, the right back, picks it up, slants it forward, tight on that far touchline. Now it's the turn of Caprice, one of their strikers, tall, slim man, receding hair, and he's brought down there. And that's going to be a free kick, 3 or 4 yards from the right edge of the English penalty area, away on that far side of the field. A moment now, a testing moment, a moment of danger for the young English defence. Taken by Ditari, swings it in, belted away to safety, into the crowd on that far side of the field. England, it must be said, have won their last 6 games against Hungary. As England push forward again, trying to get it away, but the ball still with Hungary, the ball with Pinter, their tall sweeper from Ferencváros. I'll give you the teams in just a moment. Lays it back now to Garaba, little ball forward, Ditari, back to Garaba, still 10 yards inside the English half. Has to lay it now back into his own field. Ditari lays it away. Ditari to Garaba, pushing through the heart now at the English defence, lays it back. Ball swings towards the near side of the field. The pitch in perfect shape. The Hungarian slips. England have possession. Turned inside by Stephen. England, and the game now 4 minutes old, really haven't put a worthwhile attack together at the moment. But there is Stephen on the right side of England's midfield, laying the ball back to his right back, Viv Anderson of Manchester United. Now England begin to put things together. It's McMahon of Liverpool to his left back, Stuart Pearce, inside to the tall figure of Pallister, stabs the ball forward. Poor first touch there by Lineker, lays it back, but England still in possession. Pallister again, still about 10 yards inside the English half. Now Robson, the English captain, swings, works the ball with the outside of his left foot, trundles up towards the halfway line, under pressure from Ditari. Now he'll find Adams. Adams back inside. England fiddling around at the back. 5 minutes gone. Hungary 0, England 0. Time for a first comment from Ron Greenwood.
Well, it's a very quiet game so far. As you said, Hungary have had most of the game. It's a very testing game for the young fullback, back four, really, because Pearce is in for a real first full time. Then Adams and Pallister. Viv Anderson gives it a little experience, but at least it's not a testing game for them, and they'll be able to settle down without too much pressure. A type of game that you want to play away from home, gives you confidence, you can keep hold of the ball, not too much pressure on them from the crowd, and it'll do them a lot of good to be able to do. And then, of course, what they've got to bear in mind is that the places are up for grabs in the European Championship, and it'll be interesting to see who comes out of this lot to get into the final squad.
Pallister making a charge into the Hungarian half on the far side of the field, going for a little 1-2. The Hungarians read it. They also foul. It's going to be a free kick now to England, 15 yards inside the Hungarian half. Stuart Pearce, the Nottingham Forest captain, to take it with his left foot. And now the value of the tall men. Pallister's up there, but the ball swings through. Pallister gets his head to it, but the flag has gone up on this near side of the ground. That's going to be an offside decision, and it's going to be a free kick to Hungary. A chance to give you the two sides. Hungary then in their cherry red shirts, white shorts and green stockings. Hungary pretty much at strength, with 4 players earning their living in other countries. In goal they've got Desendrai, who plays for Malaga. The back 4 is Kozma, Roth, Pinter, who's their sweeper, and Schosch. And the ball with Hungary will break off just a moment, dangerously inside the English half. Far side of the field, Fitos there, turns the ball in, and that ball is just wide. Stabbed wide there by the little figure of Windsor. Caprice was alongside him. And Woods there, caught at the near post. The ball came in from the right, a sharp little counter-attack. The ball turned inside, and there was Windsor at the near post, turning that ball wide. The angle's too big, and the ball breaking wide of Chris Woods' right post.
Great ball from Kozma, the right back. There was an easy build-up to the play, actually. The ball got inside Pearce, which was very, very disturbing, because there was no real danger, but Kozma got onto it, crossed a great ball to the near post, and Windsor, who looks a very sharp outside left type of player, was on the end of it, and it looked all for being a goal, but it just went wide of Wood's far post. But this is something that the Hungarians are beginning time to settle in a little, and we haven't had much of the ball as yet.
Desendrai, the Hungarian goalkeeper, with the ball away to our right. Yellow shirt, big man, the tallest of Hungary's 3 goalkeepers at 6 feet 4 inches. Yesterday we were told by Laszlo Balint, the Hungarian coach, that another goalkeeper, Peter Dister, would be playing. But overnight, Balint changed his mind. A little bit of insurance, perhaps, against the sort of crosses that he expects Waddle and Stevens to fire in. So I'll just complete that Hungarian side. Sendry in goal, Kozma, Roth and Schosch, their defenders. In front of Pinter, their sweeper. In midfield, they've got Fitos, the 2 talented men, Detari and Garaba, both fair-haired men in midfield, with Balog of Vashash on their left. And then just the 2 Tatabanya strikers in front, Caprice and Windsor. A Hungarian side that. They've started very promisingly here in the Nep Stadium. 8 minutes gone. It's Hungary 0, England 0. And the ball being given away by Hungary. Picked up by Stephen. Plays it along this near side of the field. Gary Lineker, who's been troubled by a sore toe, gets possession. Looks to turn through a tight angle. Loses it. And it's Hungary in possession. Just inside their own half of the field. Detari's there, plays it away to the far side. Kozma, the right back, looking for a little 1-2. Involves Caprice, who's dropped back a little bit. Caprice, tall, dark. Now swaps passes once again with Fitos, far side of the field. Back to Detari. Nice combination, nice patient combination by the Hungarians here. They make a little mistake, they redeem it. And again, it's Pinter who plays it away. Now to Detari, a little bit of space coming through an inside left channel. Seems to change his mind a couple of times there, throws the English defence a little bit, plays it away to the far side of the field. Fitos is there, back inside to Detari, gets the ball on his left foot, tries a shot, and that's all of 5 or 6 yards wide, this time of Chris Woods' left post.
There's been a lot of good build-up by Hungary so far, and Detari seems to be involved with it all the time. He and Garaba are playing. They're the most experienced players in the side. Detari was one of those promising young players that have come out of Hungary. As yet, nothing's really come of him. As now, of course, he's played in Eintracht Frankfurt, so he's getting the experience of playing abroad, and this is most important to them, because I think their football at the moment is a bit of a low ebb here in the league, so consequently all their best players have gone abroad.
10 minutes gone. The Nep Stadium still waits for a goal, but England in good solid position at the back. A little change of pace there by Tony Adams, earns him a second, plays it forward to Lineker, lays it back, Adams picks it up. A sloppy pass to Stephen, near side of the field. He loses control. Hungary have possession. Into the sweeper, drifting towards this near side of the field. Turns it inside. Now it's Balog. Will lay it back to the tall, slender figure in yellow of Josef Sendre, the Hungarian goalkeeper. The England side in white shirts, dark blue shorts and white stockings. Chris Wood's in goal, of course. The back four: Viv Anderson, Gary Pallister, winning that first cap of his today. Tony Adams alongside him, an even younger man at just 21 years of age. And at left back, the Nottingham Forest captain, Stuart Pearce. In midfield, Trevor Stephen, Steve McMahon, Brian Robson, the captain, and Chris Waddle taking the place of the injured John Barnes, playing up to the two men in front, Peter Beardsley and Gary Lineker. And it's England in possession, inside the centre circle. Robson forward, laid off now by McMahon. Turned to the near side of the field. Tony Adams is there, short little ball forward to Stephen, just inside the Hungarian half. Confronted by a couple of Hungarian defenders, lays it off to Anderson, sends McMahon away on the chase on the near side of the field. He has to sidestep the corner flag and then run round a couple of photographers, and that's going to be a goal kick to Hungary, away to our right.
Very interesting to note that Brian Robson's tucking himself in front of Adams and Pallister, and this was good tactic because obviously it gives support to them and balls can't come up to feet, and Brian's doing a good job in that respect. He's playing right in front of them, so guarding them a little from any approach that can come from midfield. The two back players of Roth and Balog are marking man for man as always, and Pinter is playing loose at the back as a sweeper. So it's going to be difficult to break down, but then Lineker's used to this type of play, and he'll be the one that will give us the edge eventually.
And Leos Datari, one of the four men who plays in other countries, one of the four Hungarian men who good enough to be taken up by other countries. Datari plays for Eintracht Frankfurt. At the heart of that movement, that now has the ball on this near side of the field. Good interception there, though. The ball thumped away by Tony Adams up towards the halfway line, but straight down the throat of the Hungarian sweeper, Attila Pinter, Attila his Christian name. Forward now to Caprice wheels and deals, and he's brought down there, and that's going to be a free kick now to Hungary. About the length of a cricket pitch inside the Hungarian half. It's going to be Leos Datari, the man we were talking about from Frankfurt, who will take it. And in fact, in the end, it's pumped way over the top of the crossbar. Little jeers away to our right. That's where the England fans are, numbering today. They're all segregated on the far side of the field, a little bit to our right. There are no more than 100 of them so far. They're segregated in a pen, in fact, big enough to take a couple of thousand. So anyone disposed to make trouble would be very visible indeed. They brought their usual collection of banners with them. I can see flags from Hull and Stockport and Sheffield and Chelsea and Leyton Orient and Crewe Alexandra. And right next door to them, just in case, there's about 200 soldiers. As the ball is played forward, a little opportunity there for England. Down goes Lineker. A little hopeful whistle or two, again from that far side of the field for a penalty. The referee simply, dismissively almost, waves play on. The ball runs over the goal line, and it's going to be a corner on this near side of the field to England that Chris Waddle will take. He trundles over, Chris Waddle of Tottenham, taking the place of John Barnes, despite the fact that after his long layoff through injury, he's only played one full game. Came on once as a sub as well, but very little match experience and practice since his return from injury. Waddle, though, near side of the field, 14 minutes gone, to take the corner with his left foot. Flat in-swinger, up goes Sendre, punches it away. Stephen comes up and tries a shot from 22 yards, hits it well, didn't quite get over it, and that ball flashed over the Hungarian crossbar. England's best moment so far.
Yes, it's the first attack they've had, really, and significantly, of course, Lineker was involved in it. I thought it was a penalty, actually, because the keeper came, and he got ahead of the keeper, and the keeper and the defender almost pulled him down, but the referee waved it on, came to the corner, and then, of course, when the corner came over, the big goalkeeper, Zendri, whacked it out, and Stephen hit a wayward volley wide over the top of the net. But that's the first attack they've had, and as I said earlier, it's most significant that Lineker was involved in it. It was a great through ball from McMahon, and this is important because McMahon is used to delivering those type of balls up to Beardsley and to Barnes, so consequently I think Lineker will get good service today.
15 minutes gone, Hungary 0, England 0 on a ground that has seen so many mighty matches, some of them of course involving England. The most important perhaps their 3-1 victory here in 1981 when Ron Greenwood was actually manager, and that put England back on the road to the 1982 World Cup finals in Spain. McMahon inside, finds Beardsley, lays it off quickly. McMahon and Beardsley and Stephen getting a little confused there. The ball perhaps for Stephen, he left it. McMahon hadn't made the run on the near side of the field, and so the ball just runs out of play near side, the Hungarian left, and it's going to be a throw-in now to the home nation, taken by Schosch. Forward, little ball forward to Fitosch. He'll lay it forward, but the referee, Karl-Heinz Trischler from West Germany, indicates a throw into England, taken by Anderson to Beardsley. Can't get by the figure there of Fitosch, but Detari takes it up, speeds quickly, changes direction up towards the halfway line. Robbed from the ball, long ball now by Robson, far side of the field. Lineker's there. Lineker trying to turn his centre in sharp angle, belts it against a Hungarian defender, and really that looked to me to be another corner, this time on the far side of the field. Lineker certainly thinks so, waved his hands in some despair, shakes his head, but the referee, the West German referee, Herr Trischler, indicates firmly, goal kick to Hungary, taken, ball on the halfway line. Far side of the field, that's the English left, Robson is there, but it's going to be a throw into Hungary, right on the halfway line itself. Kozma, Wipesh Dosha will take it. But it's the tall figure there of Adams who gets it away. Two very tall men at the heart of the English defence. Young, inexperienced, but very big men indeed. Adams 6'3", Pallister even bigger at 6'4". Plays the ball to the English right back. He's a big chap as well. Viv Anderson trundles it on to Trevor Stephen. He hits the ground just in front of us. I say just in front of us because the near touchline here at the Nep Stadium is at least 50 yards away. That's going to be worth a free kick to England, taken by Anderson. Now to Stevens, who looks to use his pace to get round the outside there of Schosch, the left back for Hungary. Can't do so. Schosch ticks out a left foot. Throw into England, taken by Anderson. Beardsley back to Anderson. He's challenged in turn by Schosch again, the Hungarian left back. And the end of all that, we're going to get yet another throw into England. This time midway inside the Hungarian half, near side of the field, the English right. Again, Anderson looking to pick out Stephen. The ball taken away from him, and it's going to be a free kick to Hungary, midway inside their own half, but only a few yards in from this near touchline. The free kick to be taken by Leos Detari. Turns away, moves inside, and then hits a long ball away to the far side of the field. But there, Caprice is at least a yard and a half offside, as the English defence, inexperienced though they may be, time it, move it, and get the decision.
Caprice has got the look of Neil Lassie, who was a great player here in a few years ago. He's in Austria at the moment. I think he's got that look of Neil Lassie. He's got his jersey outside his trousers, and he's got a lengthy approach. But there again, Detari's just touched the ball. He seems to be involved in everything that happens in that midfield. And obviously, if anything's going to spring from the Hungarians, it's going to come from him. And he's the player that's got to be shut out. McMahon's doing a good job on him, actually. Now and again, he's always close to him, not giving him a lot of room, and that's important.
And nice skill on the ball by Gary Pallister, playing his first game for England, away on the far side of the field, getting England out of trouble there and setting up a movement that saw the ball coming along the English back line, making progress on this near side of the field, and eventually winning another free kick, again about 3 yards in from the near touch line, and again midway inside the Hungarian half. Trevor Stephen to take it. 18 and a half minutes gone, Hungary 0, England 0, as Stephen floats that one across to the far side of the field, and there was the tall figure of Adams rising high above the Hungarian defence, an area in which Laszlo Balint, the Hungarian manager, is certainly less than happy about his defence. One reason why he picked the very tall Josef Sendrai in goal. And England now, in these last few minutes, perhaps just beginning to get their act together a little bit. They're beginning to peg Hungary back in their own half, where for 10 minutes or so it was certainly the Hungarians who got their act together quickest, began to find each other very quickly right at the start of the game, established some sort of rhythm, and indeed caused England one or two problems right at the start. But England beginning to come back into the game now, and it's Waddle drifted infield, who finds Anderson near side of the field, but his ball obvious, well read there by Schosch, finds Detari, long drilling ball forward, and Caprice will chase it, right edge now of the England penalty area, works the ball with the outside of his left foot, now the outside of his right foot, turns inside, looking there for his partner Winzer. But again, it's Adams coming from behind, reading it well, playing it forward, the ball laid off there by McMahon. And the ball eventually running out of play on that far side of the field, bouncing once and twice, and that's going to be a throw into England midway inside their own half. It was here in the Net Stadium, of course, 34 years ago, when the stadium was new, that the famous Hungarians of the early 1950s completed their remarkable double over England. They'd beaten England 6-3 at Wembley the previous November, and then in May 1954 here they did even better. They walloped England 7-1. Well, the current England side in good form, the present Hungarian side a little inconsistent, and it's the Hungarians defending at the moment and having some bother too. There is a little figure of Beardsley wheeling, putting them under a little bit of pressure, but Hungary slowly getting it away, but the ball running out of play on that far side of the field where it's going to be a throw into England that Stuart Pearce of Nottingham Forest will take. Turns it inside, finds Robson. Robson now to McMahon on about the centre spot. Little change of pace, beats one man. He's got Stephen giving him an option in front, likes the safer one of Anderson inside, gives it to Anderson. Anderson had turned under a bit of pressure. Now forward to Waddle. Waddle to Robson, and Robson tries a shot, a little optimistic. 23, 24 yards out, head up, and again that ball rising fairly sharply over the Hungarian crossbar. 21 minutes gone here in the Net Stadium on a brilliant evening. The sky blue and quite cloudless, but the temperature just perhaps beginning to drop a little as Attila Pinter, the Hungarian sweeper, takes the goal kick away to the far side of the field, picks out Caprice, but Caprice being run off the ball quite smoothly, quite easily, and it's England via Adams, and now Robson beginning to work forward again. A sharp little ball there by McMahon, lays it off to Anderson. McMahon goes on a forward run, but the ball now was Stephen, looking to go outside Schoss, near side of the field, doesn't do so. Ball out of play, throw in now to England. 15 yards inside the Hungarian half. The tall figure of Anderson takes it, runs it back to Adams. Adams controls, again with the outside of his right foot, and now he'll swing it across. Not a good one. Cosma's there for Hungary, midway inside his own half, and almost immediately, second touch, helps it away to the far side where Caprice is. Caprice trying to get the ball inside. It comes off Pallister. Caprice hits the ground, and it's going to be a throw-in away on that far side of the field to Hungary, but dangerously so. Now deep inside the English half, far side the Hungarian right. And again, that little change of pace there by Garaba. Detari making a forward run, a mistake there, and that ball's in the net. No, it's just wide. Oh, and the mistake there at the heart of the English defence, setting up Hungary for a chance they could hardly miss, but miss it they did. The ball was free, Garaba was there, Woods was off his line, he seemed to be stranded, the angle seemed absolutely right, and in the end it was Detari who, with the outside of his right foot, just dribbled that ball, no more than about 9 or 10 inches wide of Chris Woods' left post. The Hungarians once again showing that on the break, even though they are consistently under pressure and have been so for the last 10 minutes, when they break they can do so very quickly and very effectively.
Sloppy work really there, the English defence. Adams, I think it was, cannoned the ball against Garaba, and of course the ball ran free for Detari. And then of course he placed it nicely, and it just went agonisingly wide of the post. Earlier on, Pallister had experienced a little of his international debut when Caprice took him on individually and created a chance which Adams then mopped up. But they're looking a little apprehensive at the back there, and just let's hope that we can keep them out, because we're causing them problems at this end. There's Pallister showing his height and knocking the ball down to Pearce. But at this end, I think Lineker will cause them some problems once he gets settled in. The side itself, if you've got to remember, is almost a new side, and they're taking time to settle down together, and got to give them credit that this is coming gradually.
And the ball on the near side of the field with Stephen, exchanges passes. The tall figure of Anderson, who drives it in straight over the top of the head there of Lineker, comes back to Robson. Robson going for a little 1-2 there with McMahon. McMahon picks out to Lineker, though. Lineker now to the near side of the field. The English right to Stephen. Dangerously inside again. Lineker can't quite reach it, and it's going to be...
The March, Opus 99 by Prokofiev. And that's all for tonight from the Central Band of the Royal Air Force and their Principal Conductor, Wing Commander Eric Banks, MBE, Principal Director of Music, RAF. There's more band music tomorrow night at 6:25 over on Radio 3, where our companion programme Bandstand will be presenting Coventry Jaguar Band in works by Bramwell Tovey, David Ellis, Peter Graham and Elgar Howarth. But be sure to be back with us here on Radio 2 just after the 9 o'clock news next Wednesday to join my producer James Langley and me, Roy Newsom, when once again we'll listen to the band.
And in Listen to the Band next week, you can hear the Templemore Band from Northern Ireland. The band of the Royal Military School of Music at Nella Hall are in the Friday Night is Music Night line-up this week, alongside singers Susan Bullock, Annabel Hunt, John Trelevin and Anthony Michaels-Moore, with the BBC Concert Orchestra and conductor Robin Stapleton. Robin Boyle introduces Friday Night is Music Night from the Hippodrome Golders Green at 7:30. Now it's 5 to 10, and at the sports desk, here's John Rawling.
Good evening. A busy night of football, results and reports coming up. But first, sensational news from the Caribbean, where the Pakistan leg spinner Abdul Qadir was charged with unlawful beating by police after attacking a spectator, apparently for barracking, during the last test in Bridgetown, Barbados, a game which the West Indies won by 2 wickets to level the series. Qadir appeared in court, but the man he attacked declined to give evidence, and so charges were dropped. It later emerged that a financial settlement had been reached between the two parties. And I'm afraid trouble to report after England's goalless draw against Hungary in Budapest this afternoon. 7 England fans were arrested. As for the match, Bobby Robson said he was reasonably satisfied with his side's performance. Well, now on to tonight's results. The Republic of Ireland 2, Yugoslavia 0, Sweden 4, Wales 1. Northern Ireland 0, France 0, Spain 0, Scotland 0. Other internationals tonight: Austria 1, Denmark 0, Czechoslovakia 1, USSR 1. The European Under-21 Championship semi-finals, this is a second leg result. England 2, France 2, and that means that France go into the final 6-4 on aggregate. Barclays League Division 3, Bristol Rovers 2, Blackpool 0. Torquay United 0, Darlington 0, that from Division 4. The GM Vauxhall Conference, Lincoln City 1, Maidstone United 1. Well, now on to reports. And in Madrid, Spain were held to a goalless draw tonight by Scotland. This report from Roddy Forsyth.
Scotland stretched their unbeaten sequence this season to 7 games with a goalless draw, which was a slightly fortunate result in that the Scots did not manage a single shot on target throughout the 90 minutes. After a drab first half played at low pace in front of only 15,000 spectators, Spain stepped up the tempo and their dangerous attacker Michel came close on several occasions. 10 minutes from the end, he hit the post with a chip which came back off the woodwork, but the danger was clear, and the Scots survived to emerge with a result which was rather better than the contest.
A bad night for the Welsh in Stockholm, beaten 4-1 by Sweden. Here's Richard Shepherd.
A decisive defeat for Wales. It could easily have been more. Their makeshift defence torn apart in the second half, and yet at the interval, Wales trailing 2-1, looking to be in with a good chance. Hans Holmqvist had put Sweden ahead after 18 minutes. Glenn-Peter Stromberg made it 2-0 6 minutes later, only for Glyn Hodges to put Wales back in it 3 minutes afterwards. But in the second half, Wales fell apart at the back. They gave the ball away too often in midfield. Holmqvist made it 3-1 11 minutes after the restart, and midway through the second half, Eskilsson punished a poor back pass to complete the scoring.
The Republic of Ireland are in England's group at the European Championships this summer, and they tonight scored a fine win in Dublin, beating Yugoslavia 2-0. Our reporter, Des Cahill.
Ireland full value for their win, and they have now won 7 games in succession. That's a record for the Irish. Both goals came from corners. The first on 24 minutes, John Sheridan's kick headed in by Mick McCarthy at the near post, but bitter protest from the Yugoslavs who claimed their goalkeeper was fouled. Goal number 2 also came from a corner. This time there was no complaint. On 64 minutes, a beautiful corner from Sheridan, and Kevin Moran's bullet-like header flew into the net. Ireland 2, Yugoslavia 0.
Well, earlier today, Steve Davis and Terry Griffiths won through to the semi-finals of the World Snooker Championships in Sheffield. Tonight, Jimmy White joined them, beating Tony Knowles by 13 frames to 6. But the last quarter-final between Cliff Thorburn and Steve James is still in progress. From the Crucible Theatre, Alan Green.
Thorburn leads James by 11 frames to 10, so the young man, who was a 500-to-1 outsider when the championship began, is still hanging on. His problem seems to be that apart from one occasion early in the match, he simply can't get into the lead. The Canadian is using every ounce of experience and tactical ability to stay on top. Thorburn needs 2 more frames, James 3. Jimmy White, who'd seen his lead whittled down from 10-2 to 10-6 because of a spirited comeback by Tony Knowles this morning, gathered his concentration again tonight and won the 3 frames he needed in less than an hour. He now plays Terry Griffiths, who beat Neil Foles 13-9. Steve Davis won easily 13-4 against Tony Drago. He plays either Thorburn or James.
Cricket results from earlier on in the Benson and Hedges Cup matches. Gloucestershire beat the combined universities. Leicestershire beat Lancashire, while the match between Yorkshire and Northamptonshire was abandoned because of rain. Rugby union result, South Wales Police 30, Llanelli 32, and finally a Speedway Test match result from Coventry, Denmark 60, United States 30. From me, good night.
Night, John. In the next hour, we can hear Al Reid, Lorne Gibson and Hubert Gregg, but all on medium wave only. Our FM transmitters join Radio 1 now.
Radio 2.
It's 10 o'clock. The latest news now from Hilary Osborne.
Concessions put forward by the government on social security payments have averted the threat of a revolt by backbench MPs. At the end of a debate in the Commons, the government beat off a Labour attack with a majority of 96 votes. During the debate, the Social Services Secretary, Mr John Moore, announced that the limit of personal savings at which people lost housing benefit was being raised to £8,000. There were also concessions for pensioners, disabled people and families. The dispute between P&O Ferries and the National Union of Seamen has been intensifying tonight. NUS members supporting sacked colleagues at Dover have been taking action at 3 other ports. Here's Andrew Roberts.
As picketing continued this evening at Dover, with a picket being slightly hurt following an incident involving a lorry, it's becoming clear that the dispute is gaining more support at other ports. At Folkestone, the sealing company has lost 4 ferry sailings to France after crews decided not to cross picket lines. In Hull, seamen are sitting in on a ferry until tomorrow, while at Felixstowe, a freight and passenger vessel failed to sail after what P&O called token action. But P&O are pressing ahead with attempts to get 5 ferries currently laid up in harbour in Holland back to sea again. In a secretive operation, they flew just under 250 crewmen to Holland earlier today. They're now on board 2 of the ferries, getting them ready to sail for Dover, possibly later this week.
The National Association for Mental Health says tens of thousands of people are still confined to psychiatric hospitals when they could be leading useful lives outside. The organisation wants the government to spend an extra £500 million a year on caring for the mentally ill in the community. The Pakistani cricketer Abdul Qadir has appeared in court in Barbados charged with attacking a spectator during a match with the West Indies. But the charges were dropped when the man, who'd apparently been barracking the spin bowler, declined to give evidence. The weather. Showers over England.
A great experience out of this. It'll serve them in good stead, but at the moment we're suffering because of their lack of experience. Earlier on, it was noticeable to know when Gary Lineker was back in the lineup for that free kick that when Pallister brought their player down, he took a terrific clap from the number 3, the Pinter, and it's worrying really because we know he's got a bad toe and he limped out of it. Didn't look too good.
More good work in midfield from England, and Viv Anderson supporting this latest attack finds Trevor Stephen down on this near side. Trevor Stephen trying to get his cross in. Thought he'd won a throw there off Shosh of Honved, but not according to the linesman, who was only a couple of feet away from the incident. and he gives the throw to Hungary. Hungary attacking the goal away to our left in this enormous Nep Stadium, which is only about a third full this afternoon, something like 30,000 perhaps here in this very famous stadium in this majestic Hungarian capital. England, though, now coming back well after having to defend over the last 10 minutes or so, and they've won a free kick because Trevor Stephen's been fouled a couple of yards in from the near touchline, almost exactly halfway inside the Hungary half, down the England right. They take the free kick quickly, and Trevor Stephen now trying to work his way towards the penalty area. Doesn't get there, but he's won a corner kick, though, off Fitosh. England corner then, their first down this near side, the right, and Chris Waddle's chance to aim the ball towards Tony Adams, and also I notice Gary Pallister too, who's some 15 yards from goal, and he wants the ball as well. He's signalling for it as Waddle's corner comes in. The goalkeeper comes for it, and it's just headed wide by Viv Anderson, I think, perhaps got the last touch. Anderson was there, Adams was there, Pallister was hovering as well. A lot of height for Waddle to aim at. So many men went up for it in the air, and it just went a couple of feet wide of Sendery's right-hand post, and England perhaps the closest so far to going in front.
Viv's got a touch there. Viv's very dangerous in those situations. Hungary have got a phobia now about when they play England. They always feel they've got to have a big, tall goalkeeper in, and it happened when we played them here in '81. They had about a 6'5" chap. This fella must be 6'3". He's come out and got clattered up amongst his own players, didn't get anywhere near it, and the ball just rolled wide of the post. A great escape for Hungary, a bit unlucky for England.
And Anderson prominent again, but he doesn't get the ball right to the far side there to Chris Waddle. Telegraph that, and now Hungary take it away, and Kozma, just inside the England half, over on the far side, screws the ball to the far side looking for Detari, but it's snatched away from Detari by Stuart Pearce, and then given away by Waddle to Kiprich. But Waddle comes back well there because he made a mistake, but he came back and made up for it by winning the ball back very, very quickly off Kiprich. Good work there by Chris Waddle. And Brian Robson gets blocked as he tries to switch the action from the left to the right. He has to go back fractionally to Tony Adams, but again Robson wants the possession. Seeing a lot of the ball at the moment, Brian Robson. So too is Steve McMahon in midfield. And Robson looking for Trevor Stephen down this near side, though can't find him. Left him with a little bit to do there, really, against a close marker. And Hungary have won a throw about 5 yards from the halfway line, inside their own half. That's down this near side, the Hungary left, and they throw it back to their sweeper from Ferencváros, Pinter. Long, dark hair, Pinter rolls the ball square to the far side to Balog. And it's another gentle beginning from the back, and it's resulted in a foul as well, because Kozma tried to go forward, and Chris Waddle checked him, and Hungary got a free kick still deep inside their own half. And we're something like 8 minutes away from half-time here, and it's Hungary 0, England 0. England, a couple of very close shaves they've survived here. Hungary certainly might have had a couple of goals through Vincer and Detari. England themselves, though, close through a Viv Anderson header from a corner, and also much earlier in the half, Gary Lineker, unlucky perhaps not to be awarded a penalty after he was brought down by the goalkeeper in the Hungarian penalty area. Long clearance downfield following that free kick, and the ball again runs into the running track over on the far side, exactly on the halfway line. Now Hungary taking the throw. Garaba and Fitosh there trying to combine. The ball needs to be brought under control, really. It never was, and it's headed away by Pallister. He certainly is absolutely imperious in the air. Gary Pallister gets everything that's up in the air for him. And now with the other Gary Lineker on the halfway line. Brian Robson steps in the centre circle as England now sweep to this near side. Good work by Trevor Stephen. Finds Viv Anderson. And Viv Anderson gives it back to Trevor Stephen, and I don't think he really wanted it. He had too many players, Hungarian players, near him, and now there's a break on involving again the dangerous Detari, but again marvellous covering work there by Brian Robson, and there were 4 England players around Detari. They've certainly sensed that he perhaps is the danger man. They're closing in on him whenever he gets anywhere near the ball now, not allowing him to make these deep runs, these mazy runs, pacey player. And England now have a throw 10 yards inside the Hungary half, down this near side again, the right. Trevor Stephen into Peter Beardsley, who's had a quiet first half so far. Beardsley's chip just too far in front of Lineker this time, and the ball is with the Hungarian goalkeeper.
Yes, you're quite right, Mike. Beardsley hasn't done anything. He had a lovely little flick through his legs over on the far side about 10 minutes ago, but he's done very little so far. the service up to them, to be fair, isn't very good, and they're not getting good service, and Lineker's being crowded out, obviously man-to-man marking, but Beardsley's finding no room at all. The other thing is, of course, what's happening. Brian Robson's doing a real captain's job in midfield. He's blocking up the angles up to Pallister and Adams. He's winning the ball. He's playing it around all over the place, and he's the one that's setting everything up. McMahon's very quiet as well. It's surprising, really. But then I think, really, the mere side is the fact is that one or two of them are new playing with each other. It's an unsettled side. Luckily enough, it's not against a much stronger side than Hungary, although in fairness to Hungary, they've had a lot of play and they're playing some good football, but very little is so far finishing.
5 minutes to half-time then. Hungary 0, England 0. This is a fixture which usually produces a few goals. It averages something like 4 or 5 a game, but it's 0-0 so far, and some great work again by England's central half this time, Tony Adams in the centre circle, but he just took on too many players perhaps, overran it, and Hungary themselves don't get anywhere with an attack, and England have a chance now at least to give Beardsley a little touch inside the Hungary half down this near side. England work the ball in field now. They're about 5 yards inside the Hungary half. Brian Robson turns it to his left to Stuart Pearce, who loves to go forward, of course. He's got support now over on the far side through Chris Waddle. Waddle moves forward about 10 yards and then uses Pearce short, and it doesn't really come to anything at all for England. All too close, really, and Kiprich steps in and goes on a dribble now down the far side. Gary Pallister challenging, and it's a throw-in. Gary Pallister did just enough there, jockeying Kiprich all the way down the line there. Didn't really commit himself, because Kiprich was moving at such speed that had he challenged, perhaps it might have been a foul, and England managed to win a throw because Kiprich ran it out of play. And they've already taken that throw, and they found Steve McMahon, edge of his own centre circle, inside his own half. Steve McMahon decides to play it to this near side to Trevor Stephen, and Trevor Stephen runs it off Schosch for an England throw, just a couple of inches inside the Hungary half, taken by Anderson and thrown back to Tony Adams. England's central defenders, the two young men there, Adams and Pallister, every time they're in possession they seem to look to Brian Robson. They know he's always going to be available just in front, and Brian Robson has got the ball, and he plays the ball into space down this near side. There's some good running now from Anderson, halfway inside the Hungary half. England again are perhaps making just too many elaborate passes in midfield, but Hungary give it away. And there's a chance now for Brian Robson. Slides the ball through to McMahon in the penalty area. McMahon shoots, and it's blocked 6 yards out by the diving feet of goalkeeper Sendry, and Hungary giving the ball away. Brian Robson found Steve McMahon, and good goalkeeping there to keep Hungary in the match this time.
Great ball from Brian Robson. Lovely ball into him, actually, going in on the right, on the left-hand side. Looked as if he was going to shape up to shoot. Crossed a great ball to McMahon. Held it a little too long, I think.
But now Hungary themselves break, and Detari finds Vincer, and Vincer hits the side netting. Some of the crowd in front of us here from the angle thought that Vincer had managed to get it just the right side of the Woods post from their point of view, but it's into the side netting from Vincer. And once again, Ron, it was Detari who provided the ball.
He's in everything, isn't he? He's a very good player. As I said earlier on in the programme, he had a great promise early on, and he didn't really materialise as much as people thought he would do. Obviously, he's gaining great experience with Eintracht Frankfurt now, and he's coming home and really running the show here, very similar to the old greater players of Hungary. It's interesting, actually, there's two players out there who played in 81, Robson and Garaba, and the coach on the line, Belant, was also in the 81 side.
McMahon was close to a goal a few moments ago, and he tries to thread the ball through there to Gary Lineker. Didn't quite get the pace on the ball, though. It held up a little bit, and Lineker couldn't get there, and it's gathered again safely by Sendry. So it could be something like 3-2 to Hungary, but with only 2 minutes to go to half-time, it is still Hungary 0, England 0. And Hungary taking their time, bringing this ball out of defence, and they decide that there's nothing doing in front of them, or at least Pinter does, and he gives it back again to Sendry from Malaga, who made that fine save to keep out Steve McMahon just a few moments ago. His kick downfield, and Gary Pallister's got 3 or 4 inches to spare there in the air as he climbs up and heads it strongly forward. And as England enter the Hungary half, so there's a foul over on the far side by one of the men in red, and England take the free kick quickly. McMahon to Trevor Stephen. Trevor Stephen waiting for support from Viv Anderson, who finally arrives and tries to return the ball to Trevor Stephen, but Trevor Stephen had 2 defenders around him, and that England attack is snuffed out. But England are back in business again because Brian Robson's there finding Trevor Stephen. Robson again in the action now, 10 yards inside the Hungary half. Another good ball from Brian Robson to open up Hungary on this near side. Lineker's there, and Lineker's forcing Hungary to concede a corner kick. And Brian Robson's certainly finding his range now with the passes. And England are going to ask Chris Waddle again to come across to this near side with only about 40 seconds to go in the first half. An England corner. And the last time they had a corner down this near side, Viv Anderson was a whisker away from scoring. Again, Viv Anderson goes up there. So too Tony Adams and Gary Pallister. Possibilities here then if Waddle can get the corner in. Headed away by Hungary, and the clearance is completed by Detari. And Bearsby's going to try and run to keep the ball in, to keep England moving down this near side, and he does do that and finds McMahon. McMahon through the gap to Trevor Stephen. A little bit too far in front of Stephen, though, and it's turned back again to the goalkeeper, Sendry.
Yes, it's been a quiet half, really, yet there's been plenty of excitement. As you said, there could have been goals at either end, and there's the half-time whistle now. I think Hungary will be pleased with themselves because they've had a lot of the play, and it's all centred around Detari and Garaba, but they're solid at the back, and Lineker and Beardsley haven't had much chance. Early on, of course, there was Lineker with that dubious penalty award, but even Stevens, I think, really, in the sense of chances, and probably Hungary think they're a little unlucky going in not being one up, but then that free kick just hit the post rather than go in, and then Detari's shot that just went wide of the post when it looked all for if it was going in.
Just one feature, I think, Ron, particularly, and you mentioned very early on that obviously Brian Robson, at the start of the game, particularly in the opening minutes, as Pallister and Adams got used to things, Brian Robson was playing really just in front of the central defenders. But as the game wore on and as Pallister and Adams started to sort themselves out, so Robson became a little more evident in midfield, and maybe during those first moments England didn't carry perhaps enough menace in midfield without Robson's surging runs.
No, they didn't, and it was essential, I think, initially that he did put himself in front of them, because both of them were exposed, both of them gave bad free kicks away, which one of them hit the post, and but then all of a sudden I think he felt that, all right, they're getting a bit of confidence now, and Pallister over on the far side did very well, stood up and played the ball off keep free and didn't give a foul away, and then of course he started to come forward, and he's had an excellent game as Brian, really. He's given some good chances, and that one to McMahon, I think McMahon should put it away if he'd have struck it earlier.
Well, the main thing about this fixture, of course, is very much experience. 6 weeks away from the European Championships, England looking to try.
My earliest footballing memories as a young football fan was of Hungary beating England 7-1 in this very same stadium. That was in 1954. Well, that's not going to happen this time. A reminder of the half-time score: Hungary 0, England 0. Our commentary team is Ron Greenwood, Mike Ingham, and hello once again to Brian Butler.
And welcome back to the Net Stadium, where just in front of us there's a little brass plaque which says quite clearly, Ron Jones sat here. Well, we've had no goals here and no trouble either from the 100 or so England fans who are here. They're penned together in a huge section on the other side of the field, the far side of the field, with plenty of room to stretch and stroll and enjoy the warm sunshine. But if we've had no goals, we've certainly had a few chances. 5 good ones, I reckon, to Hungary, 2 to England, plus, of course, that chance of a penalty after Gary Lineker had been brought down. Ron Greenwood, what Bobby Robson was saying, what he wanted from this match was a good test, a good examination for his players. 3 games before the European Championships. He's getting that examination. It's a very stiff one.
Yes, it is. It's a test in time, but the unfortunate thing is, you see, it's not real preparation for Europe, because, you see, the side isn't together that will probably play in Europe, and this is what you want, really, when you're in playing these games. You want a side that's going to be involved in the game itself, but with so many injuries and so many unavailabilities of some of the players, he hasn't been able to do this. I think a few words will have been said at half-time to probably take on a more positive action, whereby that we might see the situation where the 2 fullbacks might come forward a little more. Looks as though Gary Stevens has come on for someone. He's out there with number 12 on his back, but who it is at the moment I just can't see. But the 2 fullbacks, for argument's sake, Pearce and Anderson, haven't come forward. They haven't been involved, and so consequently it's been up to Brian Robson to produce anything of service up to the front too. Stephen and Waddle have been a bit disappointing, and of course we've got Stevens on for Pearce, who's now going to play left back. We were rather surprised at the choice of substitutes, really, because we thought Gary Mabbott might have been in the substitute bench instead of Stevens, because he is a very versatile player, can play centre-back and full-back and, of course, in midfield. But Stevens got the vote, and now he's on for Pearce. Pearce had a quiet spell. I don't know whether there's anything wrong with him or not, or whether it's a choice, I don't know. But anyway, Stevens is the only choice, and they're just going to kick off now.
Yes, the second half all set. It'll be Hungary in their cherry red shirts, those famous red shirts of theirs, white shorts and green stockings, defending the goal away to our left as we sit now inside the half that England, in fact, are defending immediately in the shape of Viv Anderson on that far side of the field. He's brought down, and with the second half no more than about 9 or 10 seconds old, England have got a free kick just inside the right edge of their own penalty area that Chris Woods will take, and the ball will go via Adams to Robson. Robson now to Gary Stevens of Everton, gets his first touch of the ball. The second half just half a minute old. Now to Robson, a little more urgency there to McMahon inside the centre circle. Now back to the tall, gangling figure of Pallister. He's under pressure there from Detari, so he'll lay it back to Adams. Adams will push the ball forward, ponder, and then scrape the ball forward to Beardsley inside the Hungarian half. Will lay it off to the right. The little 1-2 comes back, but Hungary break it up and they have possession. And instantly the ball with Detari and the whole pace of the game changes. But again, perhaps Detari's thinking a little too quick for some of his colleagues. They don't get on the end of it. England have possession. And it's Stevens, Gary Stevens, inside to Robson, the England captain. Now to Lineker, who'll lay it back inside his own half to Pallister. Pallister, precisely enough, lays it off to his left back, Gary Stevens, who's come on as substitute in the second half for Stuart Pearce of Nottingham Forest. And England just getting their act together at the start of the second half, playing it along the halfway line. Now more positively through to Beardsley. He's tumbled off the ball. And it's, good interception there by England's captain, beating Garaba to the ball there. Garaba looked to be under no sort of pressure at all, and suddenly England's captain came forward then. Tremendous urgency, perception too at the start of this second half, which may well actually have produced a moment of extreme danger there for Hungary. But now, near side of the field, the Hungarian right, Caprice turns inside, wanders, spots a man in space, far side of the field. It's Schoss, can he get his ball in? The shot comes in wide of the right-hand post of Chris Woods. Chris Woods of Glasgow Rangers, a man who's never actually been on a losing side for England. This is 11th cap, 5 starts, 5 appearances, substituting. In that time he's actually only conceded 1 goal. So quite an international record for the Rangers man, Chris Woods, as now England put it together. Stevens, little ball forward. McMahon is on the end of it, not quite. The ball whisked away from him by Roth. And now it's Hungary going forward again, left to right. The red shirts of Hungary roll forward. The ball near side of the field. Kozma turns it inside to Detari. Detari lays it, kills the ball, finds Caprice. He's got on the near side of the field, Kozma making a run. But the ball there from Caprice, a little too long. And again, Chris Woods moving sharply to his left, picks up the ball and finds just outside the penalty area, the English penalty area, directly in front of him, Gary Stevens. And it's Steve McMahon of Liverpool now inside the centre circle to Robson. Robson looks left, moves right, gives it to McMahon, who lays it back now to Adams. Adams squares it to his even taller partner in central defence, Gary Pallister. Forward, a little ball forward there to Beardsley. Skids off the ball. Hungary in possession, moving from left to right on the halfway line. Garaba wheeling away from trouble, picking up pace, brings Detari into it. Detari, for once, caught in possession, and it's Robson just clipping the ball back to his goalkeeper, Chris Woods. So I wonder, are England heading for another draw? They've already had 2 this year. 0-0 in Israel, that was in February, then 2-2 against Holland at Wembley. And in fact, if this game is drawn, it'll be the first time that these 2 countries have ever drawn. That's in 15 meetings going back to the beginning years of the century. But England rolling forward now, looking for a goal that might well break this deadlock. Down goes Trevor Stephen, away on that far side of the field. And it's Hungary in turn on the break. And away comes Detari now, coming through on an inside left channel. He's got the man on the near side of the field. It's Caprice, finds Caprice. Right edge of the English penalty area. Caprice, he's brought down right in this near corner. Again, the West German referee, Karl-Heinz Trischler, imperiously waves play on. The ball turned inside, near side of the field by Waddle to Chris Woods, his goalkeeper. And Woods will just roll it no more than 5 yards outside his penalty area to Adams. Adams to Robson. Robson, left foot, long ball, far side, too long by half. And away on the far side of the field, we've got an England player that's going to need attention.
Stephen, I think.
It is, I think, Trevor Stephen. Trevor Stephen, who's been giving width and a bit of pace to the right-hand side of England's game. Now being treated on that far side of the field by Fred Street. Very much Trevor Stephen, Ron, in the manner, his game of Koppel, of course.
Yes, I've always
what Koppel did for you.
Exactly, I've always related his performances to Steve. He's good going forward, he's a good defender. In actual fact, it was interesting then to see Waddle. Caprice broke and Waddle tackled him, and Caprice laid down, but Waddle won the tackle. And you know, if you're going to play wide, you've got to fulfil both functions. You've got to go forward and you've got to defend as well. And the other interesting factor was just before that there was some good play on this left-hand side, and who was involved in it was Stevens, whereas Pearce hadn't gone forward at all. Whether Pearce had some problems not being able to go forward, physically I mean, Pearce all of a sudden has gone off, Stevens is on, and he's come forward and all of a sudden created a problem on this left-hand side, which wasn't being done in the first half.
And Trevor Stephen, that is, seems to be all right. He's playing on the right-hand side of midfield for England, and remember we've now got Gary Stevens, also of Everton, who's playing at left-back, who substituted for Stuart Pearce at half-time. But now the ball with a man playing his first game for England at the age of 22, his first major game against foreign opposition. Gary Pallister of Middlesbrough, of course, the only other foreign opposition he's ever faced in his life before this full international against Hungary was a friendly against the Seattle Sounders of America. But it's Robson now, Brian Robson, England's captain, turning and wheeling midfield for England, halfway inside the Hungarian half. He'll find McMahon, who drifts right and then begins to turn inside again to Robson. Robson, first time with the inside of his left foot, plays the ball back towards the halfway line, near side of the field, the England left. It's Stevens inside to Robson. Robson now finding Trevor Stephen, back to Robson. Robson studiously, near side of the field, finds a Waddle. Waddle inside, looking to swap passes there. No, in fact, goes by Waddle to Stevens this time. The ball pushed forward. Lineker will look to get on the end of it. But again, the tall figure of Josef Sendrai, the Malaga goalkeeper, again, he's a tall man, 6 feet 4 inches tall, comes quickly off his line, smothers the ball, but doesn't clear particularly long, and puts the Hungarian defence under a spot of pressure, but in the end it's belted out of play across the dark pink running track around a field which I must say is in absolutely perfect condition. We had a look at it yesterday, and Bobby Robson said he's rarely seen any. And remember, he comes from Ipswich, where they prided themselves on the quality of their pitch. He's rarely seen a better pitch than this one. The throw-in, Stevens, now inside Beardsley, back to Stevens, trying to get the ball on his right foot. The Everton, a full-back, does so, gets it back to McMahon of Liverpool, drives through a tackle there. Little ball forward to Trevor Stevens, dangerously on the edge of the Hungarian penalty area. Still England in possession. Still that workhorse, McMahon. Little ball forward, finds Robson. Trevor Stevens goes like an arrow through the middle there, but the ball played forward a little bit too long, and again it's Sendry's possession.
Interesting to note then that McMahon actually ran in the penalty box, and I was only thinking to myself, he isn't playing at all like he does for Liverpool, because he's always making those surging runs, whether he is a bit worried about the back four as well. But on that occasion he went running in, and Brian Robson's ball up to him was a little long and went through to the keeper. But it was nice to see him showing that type of play that he shows in his Liverpool side. It's always essential that they play to their club form.
Cosma floating the ball forward on the far side, waiting for it with less than patience was Leos Detari, but the ball never reached him, and in the end it's Woods bowling the ball to the near side of the field, the ball running out of play. It's going to be a throw-in to Hungary, 10 yards inside the English half. Cosma, the right back, takes it. The ball still with Hungary, laid in further inside now by Balog, but again Hungary making an unforced error. The ball again running across this broad running track just in front of us, the near touch line, or at least 50 yards away. Throw into England, taken by Gary Stevens. Long one inside. Now it's the tall figure of Gary Pallister of Middlesbrough. Little ball forward, picked up by McMahon. McMahon will assess, look at his options to his right, then to his left. Decides in the end to just lay it back once again to Pallister. Pallister now to Adams. Adams not at all sure what to do just inside his own half, so He'll head once again back to Pallister. His third touch in the movement. Forward now to McMahon. McMahon to Robson. Robson picks up pace, slots the ball inside the fullback. No, he doesn't, because Schosch comes across, reads it easily, lays the ball back into central defence. Pinter, the sweeper, gets it away, but not accurately. It's England's possession. Anderson is there for England, the right back, right on the halfway line. England in the white shirts, dark blue shorts, playing from right to left. But again, the movement breaks down, but again, the ball breaks kindly for England, and now it's Trevor Stephen who's moved inside, flicking the ball to his left, picking up McMahon. Gary Stevens is there. Now it's Waddle. Dahl sells his fullback a tremendous dubby, but then checks. The fullback comes at him, forces the ball out of play. Throw in once again to England, taken by Gary Stevens. McMahon runs it into the path of Waddle. Back to Waddle. Robson's involved, so is Lineker. Now it's Gary Stevens again. Left foot, long ball. Chance there for England. Too long. Trevor Stevens looking on the end of it. I'm sure he'd have timed it right. But in the end, there were a couple of Hungarian defenders who timed it equally as well. They got there first, but had to concede the corner. So it's going to be a corner now to England, far side of the field. They're right. A little more than 10 minutes gone into the second half of this friendly international here in the Net Stadium in Budapest. Friendly it may be, but it's an important part of England's preparation for the European finals the month after next. Corner then, far side, England's right, taken by the left foot of Waddle, floated in, and they're rising high. I think it was Waddle. I think it was Lineker.
Pallister.
And Pallister too, the tall man.
Scored then, it would have been brilliant, wouldn't he, in his debut, but he just went after the post. He met it full.
Lineker was two there, but it was Pallister, the biggest man on this field, I was going to say, but in fact he's matched in height by Sendrai, the Hungarian goalkeeper. Long ball forward, meantime, by Hungary, too long by half. Straight into the hands of Chris Woods, the England goalkeeper, who will just run it forward. Big man himself, 6 feet 2 inches tall. And now for England, inside the centre circle. England playing from right to left. McMahon finds Waddle. Waddle precisely away to Trevor Stephen, far side of the field. But his ball forward to Lineker, not a good one. Down goes Lineker, I think it is, on the far side of the field. No, it's Beardsley. Lineker away to his right. But now McMahon for England. Pushes the ball forward, and Lineker now positively on the end of it. Lineker gets his shot in. It spins off the left foot there of Roth, and that's going to be another corner now to Hungary, far side of the field.
What a lovely sight that was, to see a young man like Pallister coming forward, playing the ball up and continuing to make his run and ending up in the box. That shows confidence. The boy is growing in confidence, and that was lovely to see, because we don't see that enough from our centre-backs. But he showed that he was quite capable of doing it, and it was interesting and most definite a promise on his behalf.
12 minutes gone into this second half. It's still Hungary 0, England 0, and Hungary starting again from the back. Little ball forward there by Fitosh, laid off by Kiprich. Now it's the turn of Garaba, and it's still Hungary in possession, playing with accuracy, the short ball mostly, playing with precision too. Still Hungary in possession, England being given just a little bit of a run around, but importantly Hungary not making any serious incision inside the English half. Now Detari, and again the action, the expectation heightens. Plays it to the near side of the field to Kozma. Kozma under pressure has to lay it back. The ball picked up by Balog, and now Hungary have strung together perhaps 15 or 16 passes, and now more positively a better ball on that far side of the field. Trevor Stevens there, sloping up on that far side of the field, while Hungary were playing the ball around on the halfway line, was Janos Schosch of Honved, tonight winning his fourth cap. Not a lot of experience, but he made up a lot of ground then. And now Hungary looking more positive, just outside the English penalty area. The ball turned inside there by Vinca, but it runs on and on, too long by half, and that's going to be a goal kick to England.
Actually, that was rather an accident, really, because Vinca turned the ball in quickly on the turn, and it was Capricci who was going to go for it, and immediately he ran into Viv Anderson, and it was a little unfortunate, really, because Viv didn't mean to. He just happened to be there, but the referee's given a free kick, and there's a free kick over on the Rasa side. It's interesting to know that Rock comes up for all the free kicks. He's coming up now.
And the ball turned inside, a long one, but there Tony Adams is there, forcing it away. Waddle looking to run, putting the Hungarian in possession under a spot of pressure. It's Garaba. Garaba has to lay it back towards the halfway line. Still Hungary in possession. It's Pinter now, the sweeper, drills a long ball towards the left corner of the England penalty area. Roth is still up there, Roth with the beard. Long ball forward, though, by England, up towards the halfway line. Laid off by Lineker. Picked up now by Trevor Stephen. Drills the ball towards the near side of the field. A couple of Hungarian interventions fail. Waddle has it. Gary Stevens gives him support. Turns it inside. Always there too is McMahon. Stevens to McMahon. Lays it away. Beardsley will chase. Beardsley can't catch. The whistle goes in any case. And that's going to be, I think, a goal kick away to our left to Hungary.
Flash of Liverpool combination there. Nice to see McMahon pushing the ball through for Beardsley. Beardsley still had a very quiet game. Nothing of exceptional promise as yet. But you never know with this young man. He's always capable of doing something out of a flash, and we hope we'll see that a little later on in this second half.
Right, Datari now presenting another examination for England. Long ball, this time the ball too long by half, and it bounces once, passes again over that running track against the wall on this near side of the field. The protective defence in front of this part of the stand, the main stand, away on the far side of the field, but this essentially an open ground. Hungary, remember, didn't qualify for the European finals in June, but interestingly, the country that won their group in the European qualifiers was Holland, who looked so impressive at Wembley last month, and are also in England's group in West Germany. And Holland beat Hungary twice, 1-0 here in Budapest and 2-0 in Rotterdam. That's the measure of the opposition England will be up against in West Germany the month after next. The ball, meantime, out of play, far side of the field. It's going to be a throw into England, about 15 yards inside the Hungarian half. Viv Anderson of Manchester United will take it. This is 29th international, but it's now 10 years since under Ron Greenwood he became the first black player to win a full cap for England. Takes the throw-in. Movement breaks down just outside the Hungarian penalty area. Hungary get away on the counter-attack. Forward to Caprice. Good work, though, by Gary Pallister, who's growing in confidence and authority. Big man with a lot of talent. Picking up experience minute by minute. Picking up a little belief in himself. The ball inside. Robson squared. Now Anderson, 5 yards inside the Hungarian half. Laid off there, but again intercepted well enough by Hungary. Quick to spot danger, quick to read situations. And they're looking to come now from left to right. Longish ball forward. Well read this time by Tony Adams. Turns it away to Anderson. Gets it back. Now hooks it up towards the halfway line, where England's captain is, inside the centre circle. Brian Robson to Gary Stevens. England now pushing all their men inside the Hungarian half, moving from right to left. It's McMahon, away to Lineker. Now Waddle away on the far side of the field. Beardsley's battling for it. Trevor Stevens over there. Trevor Stevens can't quite control the ball, and it's going to be a throw-in to Hungary, midway inside their own half. That's their left on the far side of the field. It's to be taken by Schosch, their left back. Gives it away, gets it back. Longish ball forward. On the end of it, Gary Pallister, 15 yards inside his own half. Pushes it forward. McMahon has to lay it off first time, exchanges passes with Robson. Robson away to the far side of the field. Anderson under pressure. Against England still pushing from right to left. Again, it's England's turn to show patience and accuracy. And it's Trevor Stephen, far side of the field, again under a little bit of pressure. Lays it back to Anderson. Anderson suddenly accelerates. And there's Beardsley, right edge now of the Hungarian penalty area. Run off the ball, but it's going to be a corner. Immediately given by the West German referee, Herr Frischler. Quickly taken, laid back, shot comes in from Waddle, left foot, beaten away by the Hungarian defence, comes back to Beardsley, far side of the field. Trevor Stephen gets on the end of it, does well, gets his centre in, nodded away there by Pinter, the Hungarian sweeper, and the ball finally out of play on the far side of the field. Nice little moments of pressure there by England.
Yes, it's coming, and they're beginning to believe themselves. It's lovely to see Pallister being involved in it more, and McMahon's coming more into the game and combining with Robson in midfield.
90 minutes, and it's a corner to England, far side of the field. The Nep Stadium still waits for a goal, taken short. Waddle gets his corner in. The ball comes back to Robson, and Robson fires a shot in left foot, just outside the edge of the area. It got through a thicket of Hungarian defenders' legs there, pierced a lot of them, but Sandre, the Hungarian goalkeeper, moved quickly to his left. Difficult shot, got both hands to the ball, and that perhaps was England's most promising moment of the second half. 19 and a half minutes gone. Hungary 0, England 0 still. The sides dispute possession in midfield, and it's Hungary who come away. The ball with Kozma. Kozma looking for Caprice, slips, picks himself up, looks to swap passes again. Now it's Garaba dangerously on the edge of the area. And in the end, the ball turning inside, Windsor was there, tried a spectacular shot from about 21 yards. His left foot was no sort of base, though. It let him down. His right leg swung and missed, and it's England in possession who come away. They've got time to assess movement by Waddle on the near side of the field. Gary Stevens in space, and it's to Gary Stevens that the ball comes, moves inside. Robson demands the ball now, 15 yards inside his own half. England moving from right to left, and England's captain drills it away into no man's land. Wanted Anderson to chase it. Too hard, the angle too big. The ball runs on and on and on, and it's going to be, as a substitution or two are made on that far side of the field, it's going to be Hungary waiting to take the throw-in. England, in fact, sending on a couple of substitutes. And it's going to be Hateley and Hoddle who come on, the two men from Monaco. Beardsley and Waddle going off. Always, of course, as Beardsley and Waddle go off, the two men come on, Waddle and, I should say, Hateley and Hoddle, two men who know what it is to come on as a substitute. Hateley, of course, changing things in front. England now have a target to aim for, and Hoddle, of course, who's come on several times in England's last few games as a substitute and made a lot of difference to the game. His different rhythm, his different targets, his different style, giving England almost a new identity. But a card that Robson is happy to have, and a card that he'll consistently play. Hungary, too, have made a substitution. Varga has come on. Dangerous player, Varga. Istvan Varga plays for MTK, 3 caps. And in fact, he's taken the place of the stock man at the heart of the Hungarian defence, the stopper, Ruth of Feyenoord. 21 minutes then gone into the second half. Hungary 0, England 0. But now England with a couple of substitutes, Hateley and Hoddle, the two men from Monaco. They know each other's game well. Let's see what sort of difference they can make. The ball far side of the field with Trevor Stephen. Comes away from trouble, looks for support, finds it in Adams, and in the end it's Trevor Stephen coming back into the movement a second time. He has to lay it, Stephen does, back to Pallister. Pallister inside the Hungarian half, showing ambition, showing authority, lays it away to the far side of the field. Lineker battles for the ball, 2 red-shirted Hungarians go with him. Long ball, far post, Hateley's there, turns it inside. McMahon gets ahead to it, now Hoddle's there, can he do anything? On the edge of the area, no he can't. Hungary come away dangerously, but again, for the second time in the last 3 or 4 minutes, Caprice slips, and that was a promising ball. But Gary Stevens with him, face to face, the Hungarian crowd around us, hoot and whistle. Caprice looking a little sorry for himself. England had possession. Little ball forward by Hoddle. Down goes Lineker. Free kick given. Lineker himself takes the free kick. Too quickly, says the referee, Herr Trischler. And it's going to be taken again. 22 minutes gone. Hungary 0, England 0, and England now with a free kick almost exactly midway inside the Hungarian half. The two men standing over the ball, Hoddle and Robson. And it's Hoddle who's waving his right hand. It's Robson who's going to run over the ball. Hoddle comes up, slips it eventually now with his left foot, and Robson's made a good run through. Hoddle didn't quite get the elevation to get the ball, loop it over the top of the Hungarian defence, and so in the end, Robson's run in vain. Right, the halfway point of this second half of this game. A game without goals, but a game certainly not without interest or drama here in the Nep Stadium. It's Hungary 0, England 0, and here to pick up commentary, Mike Ingham.
And no question about it, England's second half, certainly, but the elusive goal missing, and I wonder whether the height of Hateley might bring about a goal here. The Hungarian sides in recent years have certainly shown a paranoia, really, as far as tall men, whenever the high crosses are thrown in towards their goalkeeper being concerned. They worked really hard at crosses yesterday, I noticed, in training, and they'll certainly be unsettled by the presence of Hateley. And the other substitute who's just come on, Hoddle, has been fouled in the meantime, halfway inside the Hungary half on this near side to right, and Hoddle chips the free kick quickly to Steve McMahon, but McMahon is caught in possession. Hungary now try to break to the far side and cross the halfway line. Bursting quickly, free over on the far side is Windsor. He's got support in the penalty area now from Kiprich, but he decided in the end to turn it back some 25 yards to Detari, but Detari couldn't take it. I think he was surprised to get the pass as well. He slips, and Robson for England plays the ball wide to the far side to Steve McMahon now, some 10 yards inside the Hungary half. McMahon infield for Lineker, playing deep at the moment. Lineker, nice 1-2 with Glenn Hoddle. Lineker going through the gap for Mark Hateley. Not quite, because It was cut out by Pinter, the sweeper, and it's back again to Sendry. Ron Greenwood.
He's been on 2 minutes, I think, Hoddle. He's shown 2 brilliant pieces of football intelligence. The first one was with Robson when they had a free kick, because earlier on, whenever they played a free kick in, the Hungarian defence all come running out, so Glenn waited until they came running out and then lobbed the ball over the top for Robson to go in just a little short. And then just now he's played a 1-2 with Lineker, a little back heel through his legs, and it really is the type of intelligent play that he can bring to the game. It's interesting to note that Hateley's out there as well instead of Beardsley. He gives them some height, and Lineker really hasn't done anything as yet, which we know he can do. But let's hope that there's a little more time to go. We see something of the Gary Lineker that we know.
Well, the latest bit of action involves again Gary Pallister, who really has had a very impressive second half, coming to this near side to cut the ball away from Kosmar, given away a throw to Hungary down this right-hand side, and Kosmar himself takes it about 15 yards from goal. Throws it back to Kiprich, some typical little 1-2s coming in from Hungary on the edge of the penalty area. Still they retain the possession until Hateley comes in to challenge. And we're really right back to where we started again with another throw, some 15 yards from the English goal. Chris Woods, who hasn't really seen a lot of action in the second half, just touching his toes, just working out there at the moment, anticipating perhaps he might see some action in just a few minutes. The throw is taken, and a first touch perhaps for the Hungary substitute Varga, and he looks a little cold as well because he was caught in possession, and England now have a chance to throw themselves halfway inside their own half through Gary Stevens, who of course plays all his football for Everton at right back, playing though in the second half at left back, coming on at half-time as a substitute for Stuart Pearce of Nottingham Forest. Kenny Sansom is in the England squad as well, but wasn't named among the substitutes. England now go into centre field, still just inside their own half. Lineker touches it to his left to Steve McMahon. Pacey run coming in from McMahon. Gives it back to Lineker. Lineker, good cross to the far, good ball to the far side for Trevor Stephen. Trevor Stephen checks, gets the cross in. Lineker dives spectacularly for it. Didn't reach him. Comes to Brian Robson, and Brian Robson thrashes it in from 25 yards. Off the Hungarian ankle as well, because it's gone for a corner kick to the far side, and that's twice Brian Robson's had a couple of good long-range efforts in the second half. And that was a good break. Lineker involved very much there, finding Trevor Stephen, and then he went for Trevor Stephen's cross, which didn't just quite reach him. But the England corner now, over on the far side, 0-0 here, 26 minutes gone in the second half, to be taken by Glenn Hoddle. And again they send Pallister and Adams forward for it. Hateley's there as well. Brian Robson hits it on the half volley. It's cleared by Hungary. England pick it up again, 30 yards out. Steve McMahon arrows the ball very, very precisely. Back again to Hoddle. Over on the right, the far side. Nice dribble coming in from Hoddle. Cross comes in from Hoddle. Brian Robson goes for it. So does Hateley as well. And it took a massive deflection off Hateley. And the ball has gone out of play some 15 yards or so from the corner flag over on the far side. And it will eventually, I think, be a Hungary throw. And indeed it is, and Schoss is going across to take it.
Another good play from Hoddle. It's a bit disturbing, I would think, when a player of Hoddle's quality comes on a substitute and shows the qualities he's shown, because it's most unhinging for the defence.
England again putting it together, edge of the area. Steve McMahon tries a shot. It's smothered by Garaba. Falls again to Trevor Stephen on the edge of the area, but he can't work the ball through for Lineker. But Hoddle does well. Robs his man and forces Hungary from some 20 yards to chip all the way back again to their goalkeeper, Sendry, who's certainly seen so much more activity in the second half than Chris Woods. We are level, in fact, with Chris Woods' penalty area here, away to our right here in the Nep Stadium, and Woods at the moment really totally inactive. But England still seek the goal. It's 0-0 here, and we've got about 18 minutes to go. The ball is with the substitute Glenn Hoddle. Plays it through the gap for Lineker. Real chances here if Lineker can get it across, and he hits it across the face of the goal. Sendry dives for it. The ball goes wide, some 3 or 4 yards wide of Sendry's left-hand post. Hoddle finding Lineker with a magnificent ball.
What a lovely ball from Hoddle. He's in his own, just over the halfway line of the centre circle in the opponent's half. Plays the ball into space for Lineker to run onto. Lineker likes that type of ball, into the channel where he can leave people behind, and his left foot shot just went wide of the keeper as he stretched down, and it almost looks as if he got a touch and went round the post, but obviously he hadn't.
Well, Hungary putting together a rare breakaway at the moment, and England forcing the ball into touch about 10 yards from the corner flag, right-hand side, the near side, and collected by Cosma of Vukastoza to take the throw. Cosma takes the throw and looks for little Vincer, gets it back again, hits the cross to the far post, absolutely nobody there at all with a red shirt on. An easy one for Trevor Stephen to wait for and then turn off the head, back to Chris Woods. Woods rolls underarm to Viv Anderson, far side of the field, and England now have a chance again to cross the halfway line. They play it infield to Brian Robson, and Robson outside of the foot finds Gary Stevens on the England left. England again retaining the possession. Patient build-up again involving Brian Robson in the centre circle. Robson goes to the far side now for Tony Adams. Just crosses the halfway line, Adams, and then plays the ball up to Trevor Stephen from 10 yards inside the Hungary half. Now Hoddle again in the action. Lovely reverse pass by Hoddle now for Gary Stevens down the England left. Stevens in field for Hoddle again. A little bit tight for him, but he gets away from trouble. Finds Lineker, all very tight at the moment for England, and in the end they were outnumbered. And a break on now for the dangerous Vitari, going straight through the centre circle. England having to backpedal a bit here now as Vitari runs towards Tony Adams. And who's there for England? Closing down Brian Robson, who must have made some 50 yards to get back there and to smother Vitari. The crowd appealing for a free kick. Play on though, says the referee Trichler from West Germany, and England do that. They do just that. And Brian Robson now seen aggressively going forward. Brian Robson looking for Mark Hately. Cannons off a Hungarian defender, and the whistle goes, and a free kick has been given, I think, for offside. Yes.
Actually, Brian Robson, as you said, Mike, he must have run back at least 30 or 40 yards to make that tackle, and it was essentially did so because there was 3-2 on the England defence, and he's really covered these young defenders, and as a result, young Pallister's growing in stature all the time. He's very confident, he's playing the ball forward, he's running with the ball forward, and he's going to join, and that's nice to see in a young lad playing in his first international.
Half an hour gone in the second half then. Just under 15 minutes to go, and Trevor Stephen has been fouled on the halfway line, and England just tap a free kick from Viv Anderson to Glenn Hoddle, and back to Pallister in the centre circle. Again with Brian Robson. Robson for Hoddle now, halfway inside the Hungary half. A quick cross from Glenn Hoddle, but Hately was offside, and incidentally the British press here today have been asked to nominate a man of the match. They're going to have a man of the match from Hungary and a man of the match from England. The British press have been asked to name an England man of the match. Well, for what it's worth, my man of the match would be Brian Robson, as far as the England side's concerned. We'll perhaps get a comment from Ron Greenwood in just a few moments on that. In the meantime, Hungary from the free kick, still deep inside their own half, with their experienced Imre Garaba, who's won more caps than any other Hungarian, well over 60. And Hungary give it away. Trevor Stephen nips in over the far side. He's gone past one player, can't go past the second though, but manages to win a throw. Good little run again from Trevor Stephen, and England are about 25 yards from the Hungary goal. They've got a throw, and Trevor Stephen throws it back to Viv Anderson. Now then, can they get a crossover for Hately? Brian Robson decides to again go to the far side, looking to Trevor Stephen perhaps to get this cross in. Stephen does get a cross to the near post, a dangerous one for the sweeper, Pinter to play, and Pinter, no messing about, straight into the crowd over on the far side.
Yes, I think I'd agree with your man of the match for England, Brian Robson, and he's done a great captain's job, and that's what a captain's there for. He's covered two young lads in the centre, he's come forward, he's the one that's had the shots at goal, as you said earlier. He's had two just in this second half. One the keeper was very fortunate to get, went through a group of players, and I would say Ditari is the Hungarian man of the match.
And we've played 32 minutes in the second half. It's 0-0 here between Hungary and England in this friendly international in the NEP Stadium in Budapest. England again have spent so much of the second half in the Hungary half. England going forward, and this time Pallister not afraid to cross the halfway line, and he's been fouled as well by a little Balog, curly-haired little powerhouse player in the Hungarian side. Must have been a difference of almost a foot between those two players as that particular exchange went in. Balog against Pallister, and it's going to be Glenn Hoddle to take the free kick with his left foot as Tony Adams goes forward. So too does Mark Hately, so too does Viv Anderson, and it was Viv Anderson, the middleman of the three there going for it, who was under enormous pressure and heads it straight into the advertising boards behind Sendry's goal.
Actually, Viv Anderson is one of the best headers in the game. He comes up, and if anybody's going to get the end of it, I bet it's always Viv. I remember in Sweden a couple of years ago being exactly the most dangerous player we had in the whole game, and he's a good jumper. He jumps out of nothing. He doesn't need a lot of space. He goes up and climbs, whereas a lot of people like to run onto and climb up. And certainly there, on both occasions, he's jumped higher than Hateley has and got a touch to the ball before Hateley.
Well, in the meantime, some very good determination from Glenn Hoddle down the England left. England win the throw, and they've already moved in field again to that young man, Gary Pallister, who so far I think can feel pretty proud of the way he's played in his England debut. England surviving a pretty torrid opening when Hungary might have scored a couple of goals, but since then there's been much more reassurance, and Pallister now goes halfway inside the Hungary half. Plays a 1-2 with Lineker as well. It's still not clear yet for Hungary as Hoddle threatens as well. Now there's a break on, and now again there's danger, because inevitably the man breaking is Detari. He finds Kiprich on the Hungary right. Kiprich, a suspicion of handball there surely, and the referee saw it as well. Brought the ball under control with the palm of his hand, and it's going to be a free kick to England, and we will also have a second Hungarian substitution in just a few moments. Kiprich, he's actually going to come off. Presumably that decision was taken before he was guilty of the handball, but Kalman Kovac, who is a winger, is going to come on. Kovac from the Honved club, he will come on for Kiprich as soon as there's a stop in the play, as soon as the ball is out of play. So Kiprich just for the moment stays on, and again it's with Detari, halfway inside his own half, but rather like Hullet for Holland, he loves to carry the ball yards and yards and yards. And Hungary now playing it through the centre circle, looking to this near side, looking for the right full-back Kozma, and Kozma's got the ball now. Kozma chips towards the England penalty area, testing one for Tony Adams, but against Varga, Tony Adams was first to the ball, and England now trying to break clear. Hoddle makes space for himself and finds Gary Stevens down the left. Stevens up towards the halfway line, and Stevens again now involved, rolling the ball forward. The first McMahon, and now Brian Robson. Robson's got a few options open here for him. Some 30 yards out, plays it with his left foot over to the far side to Trevor Steven, as Viv Anderson now goes forward, if Trevor Steven can spot him, and Steven is surely hauled down. McMahon appeals for a free kick. Play on, though, says the referee, and again it's Detari striding over the halfway line as England now try to get back. Detari straight through the gap for the man who's about to be pulled off in a few moments, Kiprich. Kiprich couldn't get there, gets a bit of third from the crowd as well. They know he's coming off as well. Woods was there, and England have already crossed the halfway line through Trevor Steven again. Trevor Steven might have played the ball to Lineker, but Lineker just lost his footing and fell down for a second, so he had to come left instead of right. And Trevor Steven still has the ball over on the far side. England happy just to tap it through the midfield at the moment, looking to prize an opening. And now they look to Pallister. Pallister, that was a poor ball this time, an easy one for Fitosh to cut out, and Fitosh finds Kiprich. Wide on the right, near side. Kiprich now dribbling in field. Plays an interesting one through for Vincer, and Viv Anderson just gets half a tackle in on Vincer, and it's enough, the momentum of the ball. And it comes through to Chris Woods, and still Hungary can't get Kiprich off, and Kalman Kovac on, one of two Kovacs in the Hungarian squad. He's the more experienced one, though. He's won 18 caps before this evening. England just at the moment inside Hungary territory. Hoddle to the far side for Trevor Steven, down the England right. McMahon goes across to help Steven. And as Hoddle tries to play the ball through there for Trevor Steven, this time he was obstructed. This time it's been spotted by linesman and referee. And now the substitutions will be made. Over on the far side.
Cottee, I think,
and England too are going to make a substitution. Tony Cottee, I think, is going to come on for the last 8 minutes for Gary Lineker. Tony Cottee wasn't actually named officially as a substitute, but it's a fairly flexible arrangement I think the two managers have. So Cottee comes on for Gary Lineker. England have got that free kick following the obstruction on Trevor Steven. Glenn Hoddle's going to take it about 30 yards from goal, down the England right. Cottee is already in the penalty area. The cross comes in from Hoddle, and the header comes in from Hateley. Brian Robson teed it up for Hateley. Hateley got the power, but couldn't really get the direction with the header. And goalkeeper Sendry falls to his left, and then plays his fullback into a bit of trouble, really. Cottee almost dispossessed the fullback, But a good bit of work there by Cosma to shake off Cotti, and Hungary now again through Detari. Oh, and Detari gives the ball away, and England might counter here, but Trevor Stephen couldn't find Cotti with his pass. And again, Hungary living dangerously edge of their own penalty area. They gave the ball away. Brian Robson went in for it, and Brian Robson's been fouled. And England have a free kick now 25 yards from goal. And so England have made 4 substitutions altogether in this match. They've got a new striking partnership up there now, Cotti and Mark Hateley. We've only got those 6 minutes to go. And one of the other substitutes, Glenn Hoddle, is to be given the responsibility of this free kick. Brian Robson standing just in front of him. It's dead centre. It's 25 yards from goal. Adams is going forward into the penalty area as well. Little Cotti's lurking just on the edge of the area. A wall of 4 in front of Hoddle. And Hoddle to go all the way with the free kick. And goalkeeper Sendry, guarding his left post, is right behind that free kick. He saves and throws dangerously. It was never going to reach his man on this near side. Gary Stevens has been quickly for England. And Hungary are making a lot of elementary errors at the back. They're giving the ball away. And they're being really punished by England, but still with 6 minutes to go, it's Hungary 0, England 0, and Hungary now working their way over to the far side. Stephen, though, scuttling in, takes the ball away from the fullback and finds Hateley. Hateley playing as a right winger at the moment, and a good run coming in from the big man as well, Hateley. Inside the area, lays it square for Cotti at the near post. Cotti disputing possession with Garaba and also the goalkeeper Sendry. Sendry towers above Cotti, tells him to cool it a little bit. And the referee, I think, has already, well, has he awarded a free kick, or is he just going to allow Sendry to clear downfield? A little word with Cotti. His enthusiasm perhaps just got the better of him there. And Sendry clears just inside the England half, and Gary Stevens heads into touch.
He did well there, Hateley, didn't he? Came in on that on that right wing, beat his fine, came right the way in, and Cotti, typical, going to the near post for the low cross. And everything got a bit tangled up. It's a bit unfortunate, and it would have been nice for him to come on and make a goal as soon as he's come on. But it's disappointing, really, to think that our best strike force, Lineker and Beardsley, have been taken off, because it indicates that they haven't had a very good game, and that's not good preparation for the European Championship. But nevertheless, it gives other people the opportunity to see what they can do. Certainly in the second half, with Stevens playing at left back, we've had more progress down, especially on this left-hand side, and Glenn Hoddle's shown a lot of touches since he's come on.
Into the last 5 minutes then here in Budapest as the sun starts to sink here in the capital. It's 0-0 and Hungary now just inside the England half. Through ball looking for Kovac to substitute, and Kovac flips the ball across to the far post. There was nobody there though. Oohs and ahs from the crowd. Kovac managed to slip round Gary Stevens, got a crossover, but nobody again coming in at the far post. Chris Woods dived, but he knew it was going to fall a good 2 or 3 yards wide of his right-hand post. And the goal kick has already been taken. As the crowd start to make their way out of the stadium, they seem to be pretty convinced it's going to be 0-0, I think, between Hungary and England. And we've only got about 3.5 minutes to go here now. And England, again, going straight through the centre. Pallister now fires the ball across to Gary Stevens down the left. Stevens infield to Brian Robson. Not too many chances left then for England if they're going to get an away win here. The ball is out of play, 20 yards from goal. Down the England left near side, and Glenn Hoddle throws and looks for Cotti. Full of running, full of tricks, edge of the area. Cotti lays it square to Brian Robson. Robson forward for Stephen and Trevor Stephen. England again, perhaps just a little bit of over-elaboration there, edge of the area, but again finding a good angle now down this near side for Hoddle. Hoddle shapes to cross, didn't, and then runs it off the defender for an England throw, halfway inside the Hungary half. Left-hand side, near side. Stevens gets it back from Cotti and then places it intelligently into centre field for Steve McMahon. Bustling forward, McMahon plays it through the gap for Hateley. Can Hateley pull the ball back for Cotti and Robson? Well, he would have done, except that Garaba came in there for Hungary and concedes a corner kick. So we've got just 2.5 minutes to go here in Budapest, and England have a corner far side down the right. The floodlights have just been turned on here, massive floodlights, and Glenn Hoddle to take the corner. Gary Pallister's up there, so too is Tony Adams, so too Viv Anderson, so too Mark Hateley. Lots of height, and it's Adams, I think, who was underneath it, over the bar. Goal kick to Hungary.
Actually, in the second half, whilst England have had supremacy, they've created chances, but they didn't create as many chances as Hungary did when they were in charge in the first half. and Hungary seems to have run out of steam a bit. They're not as strong as they were, and that's probably due to general fitness. But it's been a good exercise, I think, for England, in as much that at least they've seen that they can't rely 100% on Lineker and Beardsley. They must have somebody in reserve.
Oh, there's a little bit of danger there as Detari crossed the halfway line, but didn't seem to have too much confidence in any of his support men, because he tried to shoot from 30 yards and it was blocked by England's central defence, and they in turn have now given the ball to Trevor Stephen on the England right over on the far side. He picks up Glenn Hoddle. Hoddle hits it some 25 yards, and it's going to run away from Tony Cottee, I think, to this near side. Cottee will run across and try and scramble, but he can't keep the ball in, and we're facing a double first here, I think. We've never had a goalless draw between Hungary and England in all of their meetings. On the contrary, we've normally had lots of goals between the two countries. We've never even had a drawn game either. We're heading for both of those here, because we have just a minute to go in this friendly international. Hungary 0, England 0. And remember, after this, England have matches coming up against Scotland and Colombia at Wembley, and then an away match with